Coming up on today's episode, we're going to talk about a WWE star who just got fired. Also, in addition to that, this is where things get really crazy. NWA, their wrestlers are going after AEW on social media. This has become very controversial because of a major announcement that AEW made last night on Dynamite. And then also Nick Khan and WWE executives talking publicly about the reason for high ticket prices. I'm going to break all of this down on today's video. But if you guys want more videos like this, don't forget, click subscribe. And like I said, if you guys want more videos like this, don't forget to click subscribe because I'm breaking down everything on a daily basis. I want to kick things off with Nick Khan and the WWE. These high ticket prices, obviously it's been a very highly controversial move. And I have been very vocal about this. When you price your tickets so damn expensive, you are eventually going to be met with backlash. And of course, WWE fans, including the hardcore fan base, they have been very, very outspoken about this. But WWE doesn't seem to care because WWE is making it perfectly clear that this is the way it should be. Now, they had the Q3 TKO Holdings earnings call, and Nick Khan, the WWE president, and TKO's president, Mark Shapiro, basically shared some insight on this. And Nick Khan is not joking around. He's not playing around. He's being very serious. He says, "We are thrilled with the start of it. It's obviously a new product. It's a new platform." He's talking about ESPN and stuff. And he says, "If you noticed any of the promotion going into our first event with them, WrestlePalooza, which is a new event for us, which we're really pleased with, you saw wall-to-wall coverage on all the ESPN platforms," which is very true. WWE and ESPN have this synergy where ESPN is taking advantage of this. They're promoting everything. Obviously, it's a very big deal. Now, WWE and ESPN are very patient because they understand the ask of what they are expecting, what they are asking from the consumers. He says it's going to take time for ESPN to grow that platform the way they want to grow it. We're patient. We'll continue to put up our product on the way that we think only we can do, and let's see where we can end up. Now, Shapiro followed up by this, and obviously there's been a lot of talk about that. For ESPN subscribers for free, $30 a month, whatever. He says we need to sustain that. And I think at the same time, it's extremely important to us. And we're watching like everyone else to see if they renew a lot of their distribution partner deals that they get the ability to authenticate for free. YouTube TV is a prime example of that, which is very, very, very true. Now, obviously, what ends up happening here is the conversation now tends to shift towards live events. And Nick Khan basically says that WWE decided to price the way they are because that's where it makes sense within the market. But then in addition to that, Nick Khan goes and says, we've removed live events because it creates the scarcity, which then creates a demand for people to buy tickets to TV, which makes a lot of sense. The less house shows you have, the less access people have to watching WWE live in a venue, in an arena, then people will obviously be willing to spend more if it means that they can go to a TV taping. So when you look at ESPN and their deal that they're doing with WWE, and you look at all these things that WWE is doing, they basically believe that the value is there. They believe that people are willing to spend the money. Now, they're willing to be a little bit more patient for the streaming stuff, but when it comes to the TV stuff and the attendance, maybe it's a little bit less patient because what they're basically revealing is, hey, if we're doing this right now where we're taking away less house shows and there's less of those, then that means people could come in and buy tickets to TV and they're willing to spend more money. Now, the truth is, people are buying the tickets to WWE shows. So in a way, Nick Khan is right. But this is a very interesting situation. My personal belief is that if you're going to be greedy and charge a lot for ticket prices, even if that's what the market is like expecting, well, just understand that people are going to be turned off by that. And that's a very, very harsh reality. That brings us to our next topic. Brian Idol from NWA speaking out against AEW. Now, for those who missed it, AEW revealed that they have a new championship coming out, and it is the National Championship belt. And this is where things get very, very controversial because the AEW National Championship supposedly pays tribute to the legacy of the national championship that was once defended on TBS. And that actually merged with the United States Championship back in 1986. And now it's going to be 40 years since the national champion will be crowned. Now, AEW announced that there's going to be a Casino Gauntlet match at Full Gear. And they announced that this match will not be limited to AEW programming, Ring of Honor, NJPW, CMLL. The concept is cool. I'm fine with it. Basically everything that the International Championship was. Now, Brian Idol came out and he is going on social media and he says, this is the lamest thing in history of wrestling. He spoke to Ringside News directly and he says AEW and Tony Khan are trying to use the NWA National Championship as one of their belts and pretending as if we don't currently have the originator and the original champion, Austin Idol, and the current national champion, Mike Mondo, on the active NWA roster. Now, this is obviously becoming a very, very big thing because now Brian Idol then goes on to rip AEW on social media. He responded to a troll account on Twitter. There was a troll account on Twitter that was tweeting about the viewership going incredibly downhill. And he says, imagine spending $400 million a year on wrestling and you can't even get a real crowd on TV or a real TV audience to watch. It's so pathetic. It's disgusting. WWE probably dies laughing every night looking at what those costs are. So Brian Idol from the NWA is taking shots at AEW. A lot of fans seem to actually agree with Brian Idol here. Mike Mondo is speaking out. And some people are under the belief because AEW was going to use Shockwave, which was something that NWA also owns. But I do understand it. I quite frankly understand why there would be frustration here. AEW is not the NWA. AEW doesn't own wrestling history. And it's fine to, have a nod, to pay tribute and things of that nature. But AEW doesn't work with NWA. They're not affiliated with the NWA. They could have done something maybe a little bit more original. I would understand that perspective, but they're choosing not to. At the end of the day, I have mixed emotions about this, but I understand both perspectives, and that's why this becomes such an interesting topic. But yes, I do think a lot of the criticisms are valid. And that brings us to our final topic. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been talking a little bit about Ridge Holland for a while now, but things have gotten really crazy because Ridge Holland put out a tweet. And this is honestly really sad. If I'm being honest with you guys, my heart breaks for the story because it just goes to show you how sometimes life isn't fair. Okay? Ridge Holland puts out a statement on Twitter, and you could read it on his page. In fact, I would advise that you go check out his Twitter page. But he puts out this statement, and one of the main takeaways from the statement on Twitter was that he's having a hard time paying for his mortgage because he can't work for 7 months. Now, keep in mind, he's in a situation where WWE, he got injured in TNA under WWE's time and TNA's time, and then released from the company, not being re-signed to the company, gone from the company, and essentially WWE has cut him out of his contract early. Supposedly there's like a week or two left on his contract, and it turns out that WWE is just flat out firing him. And Fightful Select came out and reported this, that Luke Menzies, aka Ridge Holland, they believe that he breached his contract by putting out that statement of being unpaid for a while, because he suffered that serious injury. WWE is kind of looking like the bad guys here. I mean, I'm going to just be honest. I'm going to throw it out there. I'm going to say it like it is. I think WWE is really looking like the bad guy here. I understand that maybe you don't have plans for the guy. I understand that maybe you don't want to use him at all in any capacity on television. But you're telling me this guy got injured. Even if you don't plan on using him at all, and you don't plan on signing him at all, you're telling me for 7 months while he has to recover from injury, you're telling me that you cannot use Ridge Holland in some sort of fashion in which maybe he's a producer, maybe he's a coach at the Performance Center, maybe he's a mentor. You're telling me this guy has a lot of years of experience in professional wrestling. You're telling me you couldn't find one thing for him to do? And I'm not even saying for you to pay this guy $1 million per year. But I'm saying you couldn't do anything. Like, he got hurt on your time. Yes, you have to pay for his rehab. You got to pay for his medical bills, but he can't work for 7 months. You're telling me you can't do anything about that. I know the company doesn't owe it to Ridge Holland. I'm understandable. I understand how things work in today's society, but just something about this tells me, damn, dude, you couldn't just take care of him. And then after 7 months, if whatever role you put him in, you don't want him there, let him go to the indies, let him go work for another wrestling company, that's fine. Like, that at least makes sense. But for 7 months, you're telling me you couldn't do it. This is a multi-billion-dollar company. You're telling me you couldn't figure it out. Or do you choose not to want to figure it out? Very strange situation, but he's been cut early from his contract. Now he's not being paid at all. They just made it worse. It's a very weird situation, man. Let me know what you guys think down below.